Cheetah, Matthew Siegel, and Justin Rice. We're going to discuss a little bit about the Cougar baseball game that went on today. Just for the background's sake, for those of you who weren't here or were not also at the game, 8-5 was the final. Cougars over the Cardinal. They were able to avoid being swept and keep a winning homestand so far. They finished that homestand against Gonzaga on Tuesday. They swept Brown earlier in the homestand, but staying focused on this game, it was definitely back and forth. Stanford took an early lead, 1-0 in the first. Then it was 2-1 after the Cougs scored 2 in the bottom of the second. They then followed that up in the fourth with 2 more runs. Stanford then charged forward with 3 more runs to get it tied at 4. And then the Cougs kind of never looked back, scoring 2 in the bottom of the 7th after Stanford took the lead 5-4, and then finished off in the bottom of the 8th with 2 more runs, which was a bomb over the right field fence by Jason Monda, who came into relief pitch, which was very needed. Scott Simon did not have a terrible outing, but in 4 2/3 innings, he gave up 3 earned runs. And Monda in his 2.1 only gave up 1 earned run, and basically saved the Cougs' day for pitching, as well as gave them that extra edge for the scoreboard. Biggest thing that happened in terms of bigger than the game itself was the retirement of John Olerud's number 18 jersey. One of the best, if not the best, player that the Cougars have ever seen. At one point, I can't remember which year it was because I was trying to pay attention to everything that was going on, hitting .454 for a season, something like that. It was ridiculous numbers. And he has the two-way player award for college baseball. That award is named after him. It's the John Olerud Award. Played 17 seasons in the MLB. Did great things there as well. Played for the Blue Jays, Mariners, and one more.
He played for the Yankees for 1 year.
That's right.
As well as the Red Sox, ending in 2005.
So definitely did a whole lot of everything. He pitched very well for the Mariners, or for the Cougars, and other teams, as well as just being out in the field and things like that. He is the first player in the history of Washington State to have his number retired. Bailey and Brayton were both
legendary coaches. I'm forgetting which one, but one of them won over 1,000 games during their tenure at Washington State.
I believe it was Bailey.
Okay, yeah, and then the other coach won, I believe, something like 600 games.
Right.
Probably the 2 best coaches that Washington State has ever had.
In any capacity.
And when people talk about their tradition, you point towards those 2 coaches. That's where they got their 4 College World Series appearances. And just to go back to John Olerud, it was, Matt, as you were mentioning, in 1988, where he hit .464 with 23 home runs and 81 RBIs. Just an amazing tenure at Washington State.
For those that also weren't there, it was not a record crowd, but a big crowd. 2,024 people were in the stands. So, great showing for Cougar baseball. I think it's something that the fans that don't pay attention to baseball, or just don't pay attention to the fact that this team is available and plays, is kind of unfortunate, because, in my opinion, they're the best team we have here at Washington State.
Well, I think people realize that. I think the problem is the weather is not very.
Until today. Today was the first really nice day they had to go out.
Yeah.
Which kind of, I think, might help.
I think like these past 3 past 3 days have been the best days to go out to watch a baseball game.
And
in Pullman.
Oh, definitely. I watched the games against Brown, and I was at the 20-1 game. Oh my goodness, we couldn't miss, and it was ridiculous. So I mean, this team has potential, because for the first time in, I can't remember how many years it was, I think it's like 20 plus, they won a series against Arizona State in Tempe. So,
by the
very
way,
impressive.
A couple of days ago, one of the ASU pitchers threw a no-hitter. So ASU is no joke.
Oh, yeah.
They've got a storied franchise over there in Tempe.
They won an NCAA championship a couple of years back.
Uh-huh.
And ranked number 1 a
They're
couple.
perennial
yeah.
college baseball
Yeah.
powerhouse. They just
Yeah.
are always going to be there.
One of the other teams that people don't look to but need to worry about is Oregon State, ranked
They're in
number
first
3,
place right now.
number 3 in the nation, first in the Pac-12.
Dangerous.
Oregon, coincidentally, continues to frustrate Kyle and I because they are continuing to do well. They're number 9 in the nation, just continuing to show that that athletic department has everything going for it, which is not necessarily bad for the Pac-12 because it gets publicity, but it's bad for the Pac-12 because no one else can do anything about it, except for Oregon State right now.
Well, the other thing too is that when I covered one of their games last week, when Bobby and I covered one of their games last week, we were in the booth and we were getting set up and getting ready, and at the very end of the game, I think the final score was like 8-2, and we were sitting there going like, oh wow, like this was a really good showing by the Cougars. And one of the guys who I gave, and I guess he was like some sort of an assistant coach, he looked at us and said, really, you thought like that was a good showing? Like he basically kind of hit it with saying like, this is expected, like this is
We
the
should be
type,
this good.
we should be this good, essentially. And so after seeing them, after going to a couple of games this year, and I don't know why I didn't go to, I should have gone to more games last year. After going to more games this year, after seeing them beat Stanford, who's won a couple of College World Series appearances themselves, the Cougars are for real this year in baseball, and all their players are young. Trace Tamsing, who is a freshman, Nick Tanielu, who is a sophomore. Jason Monda is a junior, but I think he's the oldest class player that they have, along with
Right.
Adam Melvovich as well.
Something that's interesting is looking back at this 3-game series, I think that the Cougs could be proud of themselves. And I didn't realize this, but Stanford is ranked 23rd in the nation right now.
Mhm.
So a 3-0 loss on Thursday, excuse me. Yesterday they lost 9-3. Now that doesn't really tell the whole story. I was at that game early on, and it was, I know it's not a big deal, but they had a no-hitter through 3. The Cougs took the lead, and it was 3-0, and then after that it was just kind of not really game over from there, but then the wheels started to fall off, and what ended up happening was, bottom of the 5th, Cougars scored 3. Stanford had scored 2 in that inning as well, so they were up 2-0, and the Cougs were up 3-2, and then it was 3-3 after that. So the inning that the Cardinals started scoring, the first hit was called an off the bag hit, error or whatever. I don't remember I think they called it a hit, and I had a problem with that because I had a clear, sight of it. His foot was on the bag. The ball was in his glove. That was an out. So as soon as that happened, it was one of those like, there goes the no-hitter. Even though we're only, we're through, I think it was through 5 innings, or through 4, it was still one of those, okay, here we go. Here's where the wheels start to come off. Here's where the game starts to get away from us. They only let 2 in, but then that happened the next inning as well, and that led in another run.
Yeah.
And then it just kept. It was really unfortunate because the team is really good and they can rally behind each other and get
Mhm.
into a rhythm and hit and pitch really well. But it was just, slowly but surely as things started to go against them, as calls started to become more difficult to swing their way, Cougars started to, here we go again. Unfortunately, what's going to happen next? What's going to be the thing that goes against us this time?
And Zimmer, if I could just say one thing real quick. For
Yeah.
the first game of that series, I'm going to give them a little leeway because they faced Mark Appel in that first game.
Oh, definitely.
Mark Appel, if you guys don't know, is the #1 rated pitcher this year. In fact, he got picked 8th overall in last year's Major League Baseball draft. Didn't sign, so he was able to come back. But this guy is throwing smoke, 100 miles an hour, killer slider and curveball. This guy is great. So, that was tough talent. That's a guy that could be pitching in the Major Leagues 2 years from now. So, that's still not a bad showing.
Yeah, he shut them out Thursday. It was really fun watching him pitch because he's throwing 97 consistently, both from the windup and from the stretch. He was throwing 97, and in the 9th inning he was still throwing like 95.
You can see why he would be the #1
Yeah.
overall pick
And,
projected next year.
and has top control over curveball. Guys were freezing and just
Oh, definitely.
watching it go by. saw a couple of knees buckle, saw a couple of awkward swings. He was definitely he's definitely one of the top pitchers I think I've seen in a long time.
And, you know, a lot of credit also has to go to Joe Pistorici. Pitched all 9 innings.
Oh yeah.
Only gave up 2 runs, earned runs, I should
Yeah,
say. He
2.
gave up 3, but I think a couple of them were because of 2 errors.